Your birthmark makes you ugly. Diana's words cut through the silence of our family dinner like a knife. My hand instinctively rose to touch the port wine stain that covered the left side of my face, a habit I developed over years of enduring stares and whispers. My name is Olivia, and at 28, I'd spent my entire life learning to embrace my birthmark. That is, until I married into the Anderson family 6 months ago. My husband James squeezed my hand under the table, but remained silent as his mother continued her tirade. I mean, really, Diana went on, swirling her wine glass dramatically. Couldn't you at least try harder to cover it up? There are so many makeup products these days. It's embarrassing having to explain to my friends why my son married someone who looks like that. The dining room felt suffocating. James's sister Amy smirked from across the table, while his father George suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. No one spoke up. No one ever did when Diana started her attacks. I'm a dermatologist, Diana, I said quietly, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. This is a vascular birthmark. It's not something makeup can simply cover up. Well, then maybe you're not a very good dermatologist, she sneered, standing up to grab my still full plate. If you can't even fix your own face, how can you help others? With a dramatic flourish, she dumped my dinner into the trash. I felt James tense beside me, but still he said nothing. 6 months of marriage and he had yet to defend me against his mother's cruelty. The silence hurt more than Diana's words ever could. You know what? I pushed back my chair, the screech against the hardwood floor making everyone wince. I think I'm done here, not just with dinner, but with all of this. Olivia, wait, James finally spoke, reaching for my arm. But I was already gathering my things. No, James. I've waited 6 months for you to stand up to your mother. I've endured every snide comment, every backhanded compliment, every deliberate attempt to humiliate me. I'm done waiting. Diana's triumphant smile only fueled my determination. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been working on something revolutionary in my dermatology practice. Something that could change everything for people with vascular birthmarks like mine. You think this birthmark makes me ugly? I turned to face Diana, my voice stronger than ever. This birthmark made me who I am. It's why I became a dermatologist. It's why I've spent the last 5 years developing a new treatment protocol. And it's why I know exactly who I am and what I'm worth. The smile slipped from Diana's face, replaced by confusion. She wasn't used to me fighting back. What treatment protocol? James asked, finally showing interest. Too little, too late. You'll see, I replied, grabbing my car keys. Everyone will see. But right now, I'm going home. My home, not this house of judgment and cruelty. As I walked out, I heard Amy Stage whisper, "Drama queen, she's probably making it all up." Let them think that. In 6 months, my research would be complete. The clinical trials were already showing promising results that would revolutionize how we treat vascular birthmarks. I'd been selected to present my findings at the International Dermatology Conference, and several major medical journals were interested in publishing my work. But they didn't need to know that yet. Let Diana think she'd won. Let James stew in his cowardice. Let Emmy snicker behind her perfectly manicured hands. I drove home to my apartment, the one I kept despite James's insistence we sell it after the wedding. Another decision that suddenly seemed prescient rather than paranoid. As I looked in the mirror that night, I traced the edges of my birthmark. This part of me that Diana found so revolting had driven me to study medicine, to specialize in dermatology, to develop new treatments for others like me. My phone buzzed with messages from James. "Come back, we can talk about this. Mom didn't mean it. You're overreacting." I turned off my phone and opened my laptop instead. My presentation for the conference needed finalizing, and I had a call with the medical board in the morning about fast-tracking approval for my treatment protocol. Diana thought my birthmark made me ugly. She had no idea it had made me unstoppable. The next 6 months flew by as I focused on clinical trials, research papers, and getting ready for the International Dermatology Conference. I buried myself in work, finding comfort in the positive results of my treatment. My phone was mostly silent. James's messages went from daily pleas to weekly check-ins, then stopped altogether. Diana, however, made sure her opinions were known. She told everyone that I had abandoned her precious son and that my vanity over my birthmark had ruined our marriage. If only she knew the truth. One morning, as I was reviewing patient data, my colleague Sophia burst into my office, holding a tablet excitedly. "Olivia, look, the conference schedule is out. You're giving the keynote speech." I took the tablet, my heart racing as I saw the announcement. My research wasn't just included, it was the breakthrough of the year. The treatment I developed was being called revolutionary. "This is huge," Sophia said, sitting on my desk. "And the timing is perfect. Did you see who else is coming?" I scanned the attendee list and froze at a familiar name. Dr. Marcus Anderson, head of dermatology at Boston General, my former father-in-law. "George will be there," I whispered. "Which means Diana will find out." "Exactly," Sophia grinned. "And wait until they see your results. The before and after photos are amazing." She was right. My treatment didn't just reduce the appearance of vascular birthmarks, it helped normalize the affected blood vessels while protecting the surrounding tissue. The results were incredible, and I had even tested it on myself. The port wine stain that Diana had mocked me for had faded significantly. Not completely, that wasn't the goal, but enough to prove that the treatment worked. More importantly, it gave hope to others like me. 2 weeks before the conference, I had an unexpected visitor at my clinic. Amy, my former sister-in-law, stood in the waiting room, looking nervous. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. She hesitated, then handed me a magazine, a medical journal featuring my research. "Dad left this at home. Mom saw it and lost her mind. She thinks you're trying to embarrass her." I laughed. "Of course she does. Everything's about her." "James saw it too," Amy added. "He's been different since you left. Quieter. He even stood up to Mom last week." "Too little, too late," I replied, giving the journal back. "Is there something you need?" Amy touched her neck, trying to hide a small strawberry hemangioma, a type of vascular birthmark. "It showed up a few months ago," she admitted. "Mom's making me wear turtlenecks, saying I'll embarrass the family like you did." The irony wasn't lost on me. Diana's perfect daughter now dealing with the very thing she ridiculed me for. "The conference is in 2 weeks," I said gently. "I'll be talking about treatments for vascular marks, including hemangiomas. You're welcome to come." Amy's eyes widened. "Really? Even after everything?" "This isn't about family drama, Amy. It's about helping people who feel ashamed of things they can't control." "Sound familiar?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Olivia. I didn't realize how cruel we were until it was me." As she left, I thought about how Diana's behavior had affected her children. James's inability to stand up for himself. Amy's need for perfection. My treatment could help with physical marks, but some scars went deeper. The day of the conference arrived. I stood backstage, reviewing my presentation one last time. I saw George in the audience, his face unreadable. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "Diana and James just arrived. Show them what they lost." I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage as the moderator introduced me. The lights were bright, but not enough to hide Diana's shocked face. She saw the change in my birthmark, my confidence, and the respect I earned from the medical community. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady, "today I'm presenting a breakthrough in treating vascular birthmarks. But this isn't just about changing appearances. It's about changing lives. It's about showing people that their differences don't define their worth." I started my presentation, and I saw Diana whisper to James. But this time, he wasn't listening. He was watching me, realizing what he had lost by choosing his mother's approval over his wife. This was the start of a new chapter in my life, one that had nothing to do with the Andersons. My research would help countless people, and my own journey of healing was just beginning. The response to my presentation was overwhelming. As I concluded, the auditorium erupted in applause. Doctors, researchers, and medical journalists swarmed the stage, eager to learn more about my treatment protocol. Through the crowd, I caught glimpses of the Anderson family's reactions. George approached first, extending his hand professionally. "Remarkable work, Olivia. Truly groundbreaking." The pride in his voice carried a hint of regret. "Too late, like father, like son." Diana remained in her seat, her face a mix of emotions I couldn't quite read. James stood awkwardly at the edge of the crowd, looking lost. But it was Amy who surprised me most, pushing through the throng of people with tears in her eyes. "Can you help me?" she asked quietly, touching her neck where her hemangioma lay hidden beneath a high collar. Can your treatment work for me too? Before I could answer, Diana appeared behind her, grabbing her arm. Amy, don't be ridiculous. We'll find you a proper doctor, not someone whoa. A proper doctor. I interrupted, keeping my voice level. Like the 3 specialists you've already seen, Diana? The ones who couldn't help. Amy's shocked expression confirmed my guess. My treatment protocol has shown remarkable results with hemangiomas. But of course, the choice is Amy's. 2 months later, Amy became one of my patients. During her treatments, she shared how my departure had sparked changes in the family. James had finally moved out of his parents' influence, starting therapy to address his codependency. George had taken a step back from his practice, realizing how his passive behavior had enabled Diana's toxicity. Diana, however, remained Diana. She tried to discredit my research, spreading rumors in their social circle about experimental treatments and dangerous procedures. But medical results speak louder than malicious gossip. 1 year after that fateful dinner where Diana had called me ugly, I stood at a podium again, this time accepting a prestigious medical innovation award. My treatment protocol had been approved for widespread use, and clinics around the world were adopting it. As I gave my acceptance speech, I spotted a familiar face in the audience. Diana had come, uninvited and unexpected. But this time she wasn't sneering. She sat quietly, watching as I received a standing ovation from the medical community she'd once claimed I was embarrassing. Dr. Bennett, a reporter caught me after the ceremony. Your treatment is being called revolutionary. What inspired you to develop it? I thought about Diana's cruel words, about James's silence, about all the years of stares and whispers. Sometimes, I replied, the very thing people use to tear you down becomes the foundation for lifting others up. Later that evening, Diana approached me at the reception. She aged somehow, the weight of her bitterness showing in new lines around her mouth. I suppose, she said stiffly, I owe you an apology. I looked at her thoughtfully. No, Diana, you owe yourself one. Your cruelty toward me, toward Amy, came from your own insecurities. I hope you find peace with that someday. As I walked away, I heard her call after me, you've changed. I turned back one last time. No, Diana. I was always this strong, this capable, this beautiful. You just couldn't see it through your own prejudice. Goodbye. Today, my clinic specializes in treating patients with various skin conditions. Amy works with me now, her own experience helping her connect with patients in a unique way. Her hemangioma has improved significantly, but more importantly, she's learned to see herself as more than her appearance. James occasionally sends cards, birthday wishes, holiday greetings, always signed with an apology he never managed to say in person. I keep them in a drawer, reminders of how far I've come and what I refused to settle for. As for my birthmark, it's still there, lighter now but visible. I could continue treatments, fade it completely, but I choose not to. It's part of my story, a reminder that our perceived flaws often lead us to our greatest strengths. Diana was right about one thing that night. My birthmark did define me. Not by making me ugly, but by making me resilient, compassionate, and determined enough to change not just my life, but the lives of others. And that's a kind of beauty she'll never understand.